so my name is Dawie de Tooy. I work for Civil Designer. I'm the software development lead. We develop Civil Designer. You guys can go and visit our stand out there. We're a proudly South African company. And yeah, I want to talk to you a little bit about future-proofing civil models or any BIM models. We've been talking, and we want these digital twin models that can live, through conception, design, through construction, facility management, and even deconstruction. But, and I have a but, it makes me think when 30 years ago I had lots more hair and I was so in love with this girl, seriously in love with this girl, and I mustered the courage and I went to her and I spilled my heart to this girl. And she said, well, I really think of you more than a friend, but, and that but changed my life. I'm still married to the same girl. So, yeah, hopefully that got you awake a little bit. So I want you to listen to my but today. Oh, that sounded better in Afrikaans. Sorry for that. So I've got some questions for you. First question, what is the design life of civil infrastructure? Remember, I come from a civil infrastructure background. Civil infrastructure and computer science educated. What is it? 50 years, 100 years? I've heard people. Oh, I must start my timer. Yeah, Amanda, I'm not paid to talk, so I'll talk. Won't talk a lot. I've heard 20 years. Sometimes I heard 10 years, but I think more along the lines of 50 or 100 years. So will software tools outlive the things we build? Will we still have the same software tools? Where's this last presentation? 2 years. They thought it's going to take 20 years for people to, case in point. Will future systems support the data we generate today, or the information we generate today? Let's put this into perspective a little. This is my reality in 2026. This is not my desk. This is AI generated. My desk doesn't look like that. But I live in a world of Windows 11, Visual C++, laptops with solid-state drives and terabytes of storage space and gigabytes of memory, of graphics memory. Yeah. But I'm a second-generation software developer. My father, 50 years ago, 50 years ago, this was his reality. He lived in a world of IBM systems and coding in binary. Can you believe that? Python, with AI now these days. Actually coding in binary. And his computers live in museums. Only software tools and files that they use is obsolete at the moment. I don't know. These days we have certain systems and things that are household. Back then, I only think 30 years ago, things like Commodore and Olivetti and what's the other one? Osborne. Those names were household names in terms of computing. Now, nobody here has heard of those names. What will our reality look like in 2080? Will we still have the same? Will these companies that's household names today still exist? Thinking of our own company. Hopefully we will still exist, but this brings me back to our data that we generate. This is Notepad, and I just went and opened a proprietary binary file. This happens to be a DWG file, but it could be a DR5 file, which is Civil Designer's proprietary native file, or RVT, or whatever. It's a binary file, and it can only be understood by one software package. That's what it looks like if you open it in Notepad. So binary files, yeah, used by specific tools. There's a good reason why software vendors use these binary files. Efficiency is one of them. And the other one is, we have legacy systems that we have to integrate internally. And it's easy to do that. In contrast, this is what an open file, I don't know how you can see or read that, but this is an open file format, also opened in Notepad. This happens to be an IFC file. So it's human readable. I can read, I can see there it says IFC Cartesian point. Or I can see that it says header and it says who created it and what the version is and everything like that. It's human interpretable. You can go and you can get your AI to write a script to import this or to export this. Anybody can write the parser to do this. It ensures data continuity. It conforms to standards. Now this is based on an open format. Now I think open standards can fail because of its openness. So we really need standards in terms of process and standards in terms of the format itself. The first one, standards in terms of process, we've talked about ISO 19650. This is extraction from ISO 19650/4, which talks about data exchange. So there it says there's two things. The one is the data receiver needs to consider open formats for easy exchange and for collaboration. And the other one is have a look at proprietary formats and use it where it doesn't disadvantage the data receiver, his current and future use for it. Remember the 50 or 100 years? So we can say that open BIM is mandated. Is mandated a strong word? By ISO 19650. So what is open BIM? Are you still with me? Everybody. Okay, open BIM is a registered trademark owned by Building Smart International. You've heard that name before. Hey, Jaco? Where is Jaco? Just quickly, Building Smart is a global initiative that encourages the use of open standards in our industry. It allows seamless data sharing among stakeholders using different tools. So I don't think there is something like disconnected tools. It's just tools that don't support open standards. Okay, and these are specifically open standards such as IFC, BCF, is a collaborative format, and then IDS. I'll go in a little bit more detail. I've got a note here. Don't geek out the audience, so I won't. Okay, so who is Building Smart? It's a worldwide body, organization, driving digital transformation of the built environment. So that's easy enough. They drive the creation and the adoption of open international standards. Their board of directors has representation across the world, such as Germany and Austria and Denmark and China and Japan. They also have non-affiliated directors or members from companies like Autodesk and Nemetschek, big software or technical companies. Their vision is seamless exchange of trusted information across the built environment. This is what they do. So what do they do? Their mission is to create and maintain open, reliable digital standards. IFC, so IFC, again, I won't geek you out, but it deals with process, data, terms, change management. There's a lot of entities that they basically support, and properties and property sets, and 4x3, IFC 4x3 is in or taken up into this ISO 16739 in 2024 for infrastructure. BCF is just model-based communication between, see, these are all open standards that everybody can see and read and interpret. Issue tracking management. So BIM tools or authoring software can implement this either by file-based exchange. I think we've seen this once, a button that says BCF export, or via direct API support. IDS is just information delivery specification, machine readable, that's used for automated compliance checking. And we'll go to a little bit more detail. So Building Smart provides governance, guidance, certification, and training. So the certification is a big thing. You can, on their website, go and you can upload your IFC file or the IFC file that you've received, and it'll tell you, no, this IFC file is structured correctly, and it'll give you points. And yeah, I use that a lot in the development of our tools. So validation and software accreditation. Okay, that went a bit far. Oops. What can be stored in an IFC file? Well, much more than 3D geometry. I think there's a I picked up a little bit of a idea that IFC is just 3D geometry. It's a lot more than that. And again, won't geek you out with the details, but that website address is where you can find the standards. The standards are open, it's accessible, it's free. No license fees need to be paid. I should have had a little IR code, a QR code. So again, this is just the abstract types, and I'm not going to go. It's just to show you on the left. It has the actual geometric definition. Then there's a relationship between these objects, and then properties, which is the metadata. So spatial breakdown could look like this. There's a typical road with barriers and rails and pavement layers, road markings and stuff, and they all live in relationship to one another. Okay. This thing has picked me up. It puts all my points once. Each entity, so property sets, that's the metadata. Each entity or part in the IFC file can have these properties. And property sets facilitates the exchange of data in your BIM model. So P sets or property sets can be defined in the authoring software. So you set up your authoring software, whether it's Civil Designer or Civils 3D or whatever, you set it up, and then 2 minutes, then it does the thing. So you'll have a dialogue like this in your authoring software. So I had a video that I wanted to show you, but I think I'll skip that. All this that video shows is just two completely different ecosystems. One is, in this case, Civil Designer, because I have a license to Civil Designer, and the other one is Katenda, which is a totally different ecosystem. Katenda is a CDE. The CDE can be anything, and just how that. So I'm going to skip that. So securing compliance via IDS, that's the other one. Hey, mine says 3 minutes. So this would asset owner would set up the requirements. So OIR, PIR, EIR, you guys heard all those, and then translate that into a information delivery specification, and then use that software tools use that for automatic compliance. Again, what does that contain? What does that file look like? And there's the extract of it. It's an HTML file, and it just contains rules that it can check your data with. Yes, I don't know why all the bullet points go out. Anyway, then the governance layer. This was an example of Open BIM in action. If we can maybe have a look at that video a bit later. But for scalability, amongst or across different projects, we need some governance layer. And Building Smart, the Building Smart Networks does this through chapters. So Chapter is a national membership organization that share the vision of Building Smart. And that map you can see where the chapters are, and you see a little question mark down there in South Africa. And you can come and chat to, I don't know, where's Yaku? There's a few guys, Charles, that's involved in this. And we are busy trying to set this up and get this going. But they develop and promote the use of open standards in countries for local BIM. So what do? They play a pivotal role in aligning open BIM with local government frameworks and act as a localized technical authority. That's basically it. And they also provide training that's necessary. Well, we actually also need training on this, because IFC is a bit bigger than we understand at the moment. So there we go. In closing, open BIM is implied in ISO 19650. So that is if you have one thing in my presentation, just think of what is Darby's butt? Darby's butt is open BIM is implied in ISO 19650. It's a shared open model-based representation, reduces risk and enables long-term sustainability. Software tools such as ours should serve as contributors to an open BIM ecosystem. In fact, I don't think you should be asked to pay extra for save or for importing IFC files or open files. And that's my last point. Prevent vendor lock-in by using open format. So there, I cost our company some business because I'm preaching against what we do. So yeah, you want to, as a professional, choose the tools that is best for the job and use that, and then contribute with open standards.